now let's continue with pillar number 4. So pillar number 4 of coaching is to transfer control. So this is an interesting part, because I think this is an often overlooked part of coaching compared to the other ones, because we feel like the other ones has their use and we innately sort of understand what we want. But this is also a skill that we need to be aware of and to let go of control what we think is right for the team. So it's about stimulating your players to think and the need, and be aware of the need for independence from the player side if you're a coach. And also if you're a coach side, that the coach is not a robot and also needs to have his independence as well. So it's about transfer control. So here's the thing, try to think about moments where you had control, but perhaps you could have transferred the control to the players of the team. So to give you a couple of examples, maybe you were super controlled in the draft preparation in League of Legends or Dota, and you felt like, oh, maybe now, at that moment I could give more control towards the players because they are experts at the game as well. I took too much control, or I enforced it too much on them. I didn't trust them, etc. So that would be a part as well. Or when you're setting goals for the season, what do they think? How things should be done? Or when you're doing a VOD review and you're giving all these solutions, like, oh, this went wrong, oh, we should just do this, and blah 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 blah. This would be a solution, and you feel like, yeah, I'm the greatest observer, analyst, and puzzle solver of Dota or League of Legends or whatever game you're playing. But then like they didn't solve or think about anything, and you could have asked questions in that moment in time to engage them in the learnings instead of you only giving the solution. So think about that, how powerful that can be. So here are some things how to transfer control. So number 1, I think this is the most underrated thing, is ask more questions than giving answers. Like, just like said, like the dash we call turf. I don't know, just like what the inmates do in prison, like, oh, day 1, like those stripes on the paper, when you give an answer towards a question instead of helping them find an answer. So you want them to guide them towards the solution. You will be surprised. You will really, really be surprised how often they come up with a valid solution that you did not even think of yourself, because they see the game from a different angle. A lot of coaches look at the game from one perspective, and that is their own. Maybe 1 or 2 solutions, and then the player comes up from a whole different angle. And even though he can be right, he can be wrong, I don't know, and you shouldn't care. It's not about like, oh, he's wrong or he's right. You want to find the truth together, and you want to guide him. Because if you're a coach, you're also, let's say, a teacher, a trainer, and you want to help them to train, let's say, critical thinking from themselves so they can view it. The best coach is when eventually you are not needed anymore, because they're so self-sufficient. Even though that is like an ideal situation and probably will need you to be the coach or leader, etc. But that will be a great goal, to make yourself replaceable. So number 2, withhold your feedback. So a lot of times when we're doing the reviews, we want to give feedback. Oh, yeah, I watched your game, and then, I saw some points like, oh, the laning phase, or, oh, the rotation there, the communication, yeah, that was bad, and blah, blah, blah. And we instantly give our feedback all the time. Involve them, transfer control, ask them questions, let the players and team reflect on the scrim or practice or exercise or whatever, or the VOD review that you're doing. Do they come up with solutions from themselves? Do they know how to think? Because if you keep giving them answers, they will unconsciously know, oh, I just go to that guy, I go to the coach, I go to the strategical coach, I go to the manager, because they always give an answer. I don't need to think. Oh, that's easy. And then you really make them mentally lazy. They don't know how to solve solutions on their own, especially in hectic situations inside matches when it really counts. Because I don't know how to do this. I only get solutions handed over. So be really cautious about how you, let's say, work with information. So ask questions. Do they oftentimes know your feedback themselves? Because a lot of players, even though you feel like, oh, this went wrong and that went wrong, players know. And if you know that they know, then it will save you time, because then you can ask them, let's say, questions how they should solve it. And if that is a good thing, okay, you guys seem to have it under control, so we can move on. We can save time instead of doing your own thing. Make it efficient. So this method is many times more effective. Number 3 is give responsibility. So what kind of task is needed in the team? Who can take on those responsibilities? Think about the main things, just like shot caller, or who is calling out the plan, who's, let's say, the forefront of communication, who is activating communication, and let the players and team design a practice as well. So even though we are within the esports, sometimes only focus on playing the game with scrims. In CSGO, you have, let's say, the workshop where you have different things. But just like within, let's say, football, traditional sports, they are practicing free kicks or different combinations, or walking routes, etc., to cross over, etc., or to pass, or all these types of things. And I believe we are going there into the future, and not many teams are doing it. They just keep playing the game. It's like, if you imagine a football match, a traditional football match, that if they have practice, they only play games for 90 minutes and then they are done, take a break for 30 minutes, and they go again. How much effective is that in order to hone different skills? We have some practice tools to, let's say, put a framework or confine a certain skill, but interactive with, let's say, the top laner with the jungler and the mid laner to connect it within League of Legends, or the same goes for Dota. Like this, that are not much thought of in terms of exercise, because we believe in our head that we need the bottom lane as well, or other positions in order to make it real. But it's just like deliberate practice, basically. So give responsibility in what you want and what you need, and let the players decide for, like, how can we resolve this? How should we, what can we do in order to boost our communication? Or how can we make less noise in the comms during a match, instead of giving the solutions once again. So number 4, involve the players in an active way. So what are the goals from last week again? So if you're preparing for a match, or just like going into the next scrim, or when you're doing one-on-one coaching, instead of like saying, oh yeah, last week we worked on this and this and this, and you go through your, let's say, your Excel document, and now we worked on this and now we're gonna work on that. It feels like, oh, I'm super professional and I'm doing the things and I make it very clear and I structure it all. But are you engaging the person that is in front of you, the individual that wants to learn, that player that want you to have them improved? So engage them into the learning process. So do you remember what we did last week? What were the goals that we're working on? How did you do that? Ask questions. So it all comes down basically with every point on the number 1, ask more questions than giving answers. So do that. So for example, what were the goals from last week again? What did we do then? What brought us success? So you take them back into the moment, like, oh yeah, we communicated well, we had a good vibe, or we set pressure, or we made plays that were 50-50 in our eyes, but we took them anyway, and that gave us the advantage and confidence to succeed. Okay, so what do we take away from last week to this moment? Possible answer could be like, okay, we just keep pressuring them as well. We take our risk if you feel like that's comfortable to, let's say, get them out of balance. So what should we do now? Pressure them. So even though the answers are almost the same, you really get the repeating things going on, and really make them part of the process in active learning and what they should do, so they can also connect their intentions properly with their actions, how they go into the match or practice or scrim. Number 5 is set goals together before the start of the season, before matches or a series or scrims or practices. This increases their commitment. So, of course, a lot of teams, what I've heard, I believe almost every team that I've worked with or I've seen, they set goals at the beginning of the season. But during the season, they start to forget to set goals. So like, okay, what do we want to achieve into the next match? What are, let's say, our points of interest that we believe that would be a good result? Because let's say you're a bottom tier team or top tier team, those goals are different. Because let's say you're a bottom tier team and you know we're not the best and you're playing against the number one. Of course, we want to win. But we also can be a little bit realistic. So we can say, okay, we want to win, give our best effort. Our best effort is to focus on the things that we can control and that we feel comfortable in. And if we execute our thing that we are comfortable in and that we believe in, that is a strong side of us, and we worked also on the little bit that we worked on last week, if we do those two things properly, then we have a successful match, no matter the outcome, to be more realistic. So make, not only from you as a coach, like, yeah, we need to win, or yeah, it's okay to lose. Involve the team and then set goals together, because it increases their commitment. They are part of the journey, they're part of the goals. So that is it to how to transfer control. And obviously there are more pieces for every pillar, but these are some concrete things. So now we come slowly towards the end of the 4 pillars as well. But first, rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. How do you rate yourself on transferring control? Are you really asking more questions and giving solutions? Or do you feel like, yeah, maybe I think I can ask more questions? So decide for yourself. Are you maybe on the one side? Do you have a lot of potential? Or are you more on the excellent side, having 10, and you're doing an excellent job? Or are you maybe somewhere in between, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? You decide where you think where you are. So now we come to an end of the 4 pillars. And what is good to be conscious about, because during this lecture, if you watch it all and you had your full focus, awesome. Then you probably get something like this. And these are some sliders. And this is different for every individual. Maybe you connect with, let's say, your next staff member or coach, and it's almost the same, etc. But this is very individualized. And this also depends on your personality. Because for me, now it works better with structure and clarity. This is not my score. This is just an example. But when I was coaching and teaching, sometimes structure and clarity was a hard point. I would say it was a 5 or a 6. I would say with developing and years of experience and also teaching others how to do it, I would say, yeah, it's pretty an 8. I can structure well, but sometimes I like to improvise a lot. So that's why it's not a 10. So it can grow, of course, or it can low down if you start to let it slip away. Or the stimulation and motivation, yeah, it's a 6. I stimulate and motivate, but I feel like I can give way more compliments towards players. I can reward them more. I do it, but I focus too much, let's say, on the negative side, and I really see the benefit of focusing more on the compliments to boost their confidence and to give them insight into what I see of the little steps they made, instead of, oh, they do this full exercise, good or bad. Chop it in blocks and then see what parts are good or bad. So this could be one thing as well. And then the individual attention. Do you schedule enough time with your players or with your teammates or with other people in the organization? Are you really there? Are you really listening to them with their stories? And do you connect with them? And do you bond with them? Are you invested in what they are saying and what they're going through as a human being, instead of only the player that you know them of or the nickname, right? They all have names and surnames, right? They are people, not just like their nickname. And the last part is transfer control. So how often do you want to, or can you transfer control? So there won't be always a situation where you can transfer control, because it doesn't allow, especially in the beginning of the season, like everyone is looking at the leader, you probably as a coach or manager or in-game leader, on what to do, because you are the leader role. So expect something for you, and that is natural. That's how humans basically work. But later on, if everyone knows what the structure is and everyone knows the drill, then you can transfer control more. So it's not always, let's say, a constant, but know when you can pick some situations where you can really give the control away. So, okay, guys, for upcoming scrim, we did really good job. How would you guys say we can upgrade our strategy even more? What little things or what adjustment do we need to make for you guys to make it even more successful, or to overcome let's say the hurdle, or to win next match? You guys go into that room and just decide, I don't have to be there, and then you come with up to 3 answers of what we should improve on. So I will be here, etc. That is really transferring control, for one example. How can we improve that? And you guys think with your own brains, with your own, let's say, mind, the hive mind of the team, and then bring it back together. That is really transferring control. So I hope this all gave you a good insight into what it is of the 4 pillars of coaching, to have a good solid structure in the basis, to know where you can, let's say, focus on, like I should put my thing a little bit up of structure, yes, or I have stimulation up, and also view for yourself, like, okay, why is this? Is it all because when we're talking about coaches, this is often also a thing that correlates a little bit with the life thing. Not always, but people that score low on transfer control, they oftentimes also have a hard time to let go of control in their day-to-day life. Or some people that are very critical into day-to-day life, and they like to debate and want to be right, etc. And that can be a very powerful skill, but in terms of team building and getting the bonding, they might score lower naturally, and they have maybe more potential there. So it really depends, and hope that it gave you a bit of 360 feedback view of yourself by going through this lecture. And yeah, this is basically it. So now I'm just gonna look at the chat. Maybe you guys have some questions for now. Yeah, one is pop up. So yeah, the question was, where do you share your uploaded videos? So within this Discord server, I post every video in the video library. So also this one for people that weren't here to attend. But when you're not here, you cannot ask questions, don't have the interaction, etc. Because I try to, let's say, also freestyle it a little bit and tailor it to the people that are here. So that is fun for me, and perhaps fun for you too. But it will be here in the hashtag video library, and also just on the YouTube channel. So that is it. So if you guys got any questions further, then you can always contact me, or through join the Discord server. If you're watching this on YouTube as a recording, then join the Discord server in the description down below. And if you like this type of video, smash that like button. And if you love this type of content, be sure to head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, so you'll be always the first one to get notified when new content is up, so you can, and your team as well, reach the next level by getting the people side of esports right. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And yeah, I hope it was a good value for you, for beginner coaches and expert coaches, experienced coaches. So let me know in the comments below, or send me a message. That would be super awesome. And I appreciate you so much for being here in the workshop lecture channel today, and hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.